Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, once again coming at you with Rise, alongside here doing the 6th game of the second match of the second round playoffs of the 2006 Sky Pro League. And if that wasn't a mouthful enough, we've got 4 players to keep track of here. Final, aka Ever, and Bright are going to be playing for Oz, and Jaehoon and Julyzerg are going to be playing for MBC Game Hero. I'm just going to go ahead and call him Ever, because that's the name that I've already written down, so there you go, it's going to be Ever. I believe, I actually don't even know, like I can recognize Jaehoon and Julyzerg, but I don't know which of those is actually Ever and which is Bright, but oh well. Well, I guess that second guy was Bright, because that's the Zerg player. Anyway, and then we're gonna have Jaehoon is the Protoss player. There he is on your screen right now. He's gonna be playing with Julyzerg. And Rise and I were just talking before the cast getting started here about how it's interesting to see Julyzerg in the 2v2, and I suspect it's because he's, you know, in 2006 he was kind of in a little, like late 2006, 2007, he was in a little bit of a slump. And so oftentimes you see the formerly good 1v1 players will be on the 2v2 team in these years. So maybe that's what's going on here. But anyway, as we can see at the top of the screen, it's a 3-2 series. Everything once again on the line here for Oz. If they cannot win, then MBC Game will advance to the finals of the playoffs. Have you, Rise, have you ever heard of Ever or Bright before? I don't really, I've seen their names, but I don't know anything about them.
I vaguely remember Ever. I don't really remember Bright. So I think we're both going in here a little bit blind, but I just want to go back to what you were saying about Julyzerg. And I was thinking, I was like, it's basically like a half step above the Bat Boy where he's at right now. If he's on the 2 versus 2 team, right? Where he's like, doesn't have to clean up after the other players, but man, if he starts losing 2 versus 2s, it may get that bad. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because he ended up, I don't know if you knew this, or maybe the viewers don't know this, but there was some drama in 2008? 2008, yeah, I think it was 2008, where he was on MBC Game and they let him go because he wasn't performing well, and he got upset, or not let him go, but they were like, didn't want to fulfill the contract. They didn't want to give him as much money as he thought he deserved, basically. So he went out and he had joined SKT1 for a short time because they wouldn't pay him enough, basically. And then he won the OSL, and the NBC Game was like, you know, eating their foot. And then later on, he made up with MBC Game because he wasn't really having a great time on SKT, and he went back to MBC Game. But it was kind of interesting that his slump actually led to contract problems that made him change teams for a little bit. But this was a little bit before that, where he's still kind of a core member. You know, even if he's not playing very well, he's probably still valued as a star that will bring in the fans, or maybe as a mentor at this point in time. But anyway, by the way, green and red are together, so we kind of have Jaehoon off on his own at the top right. This is a 6-spawn map, so Jaehoon is on one side of the map and everyone else is on the other. So Julyzerg kind of pinchered between 2 players, and he forced to put a bunch of Zerglings at the bottom of this ramp out of his base to kind of defend himself here, while Bright and Ever are able to maneuver around the map, and Jaehoon's trying to kind of catch up with some Zealots. So already an interesting game here. It's already gotten crazy just in the time it's taken to introduce it.
Well, you know what's interesting about this map is look at how many mineral patches there are. So we've got a first skirmish here, as it looks like players are trying to break out from their base. I'm not sure who's who at the moment, but they're trying to they're trying to get in on Julyzerg's base here. Yeah. He did a pretty good job of slowing them down and bought himself enough time to get that sunken up. But why I bring that up is it gives the players a little bit more flexibility to stay on one base. And oh my goodness, we've got the double up on July here, and he's trying to drone drill for his life to keep himself in this. And it looks like he's going to be able to possibly defend this. It's going to be close. He's down to almost nothing, and it looks like his partner comes in at the nick of time to clean things up. and some drones were lost, so some damage was done here. But the good news is for him, Zerg most typically, outside of making Lings, only makes Muta in 2 vs 2 anyway. So you've got like ground control and air control, and hopefully this is enough for Julyzerg to recover from. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult for a single Protoss to survive against 2 players, 2 pro players for that matter.
Yeah. If there is any Zerg in, maybe even in the history of all of StarCraft, that you could depend on to play well in a low econ situation where you've got very few drones to work with when they're in a difficult spot, Julyzerg is that Zerg. He is the super low econ player. So even though he's taken some damage there, Jaehoon kind of coming in a little bit too late to really defend him. I think Julyzerg might be able to pull out of this and still have an effect here. You can see he's actually not even making drones. He's making Zerglings now, which is typical in these old 2v2s. And oh, some Zerglings coming in and surrounding Jaehoon's Zealots. It looks like he had a second squad of Zealots moving out, and they're actually going to get collapsed on. So now Jaehoon may be in a little bit of trouble himself, actually, because the rest of his Zealots are in Julyzerg's base, and they're going to try and bust out here. But actually, there's nothing to protect these Dragoons. He might get a surround on the Dragoons, which will stop them in place for the Zealots to catch up. Nice micro by by Ever with these Dragoons to get out of the way, though, and not get completely trapped, and let Bright's Zerglings come in and help out as well. Very, very, very nice micro. Jaehoon coming in with more Zealots on the side as well. It has gotten absolutely bat crap here on this fight in the middle with 4 players duking it out. In the end, it's hard to say who has the advantage. I feel like maybe Bright and Ever have the advantage because didn't really lose a lot of Dragoons there. I say that right as one dies. Whereas Julyzerg did lose a lot of drones, and Jaehoon has lost a lot of Zealots. So I feel like the net goes to the Oz team, personally.
Yeah, I would agree, especially, you know, at this point, until Julyzerg can get some drone count up. Every trade, and it doesn't look like he's doing that at all still as we just get a peek at his base. Every trade is favorable to the other team. Bright and Ever can keep trading semi-evenly and continue to get further and further ahead as a result of doing that, just because the simple fact that July is not going to be able to have the same output, whereas Bright and Ever are going to be able to keep building their tech beyond just tier 1 Zergling type units, right? So Jaehoon's going to have to carry this game on his back for a bit. And I still down to, look, they're showing five drones for Julyzerg. I'm not sure if he's planning on squeezing out a couple of more. But if you look, I mean, he's not contributing as much to the fights because he can't. He literally can't make anything but a few Zerglings at a time. And it looks like at this point, Bright and Ever are just maybe getting the better, but maybe not, as Jaehoon could be carrying this game on his back, continuing to reinforce, and those Dragoons are going down with this simple force of Zerglings and Zealot and Dragoons, and it looks like maybe just the better player experience and capabilities of July and Jaehoon might be enough to make this game work.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm smelling like it's going to be less than a minute before we're going to get some surprise Mutalisks out from Bright, because he's been pumping out Lings, but he has not had any harassment done. Jaehoon hasn't snuck any Zealots in or anything like that. And it's almost always, as you mentioned earlier, the follow-up in the 2v2 games for the Zerg players to get Mutalisks. So, you know, we could see a handful of Mutalisks fly into Julyzerg's base and kill off those last 5 drones at some point before too long. It looks like Julyzerg is trying to threaten Bright in order to try and make sure that doesn't happen, go in and kill him before the air switch can be made. But in the meantime, it's a PvP match with Dragoons on Dragoons here in the middle, and it looks like Ever had a little bit more, but his Dragoons got glitched out, and Jaehoon microed a little bit better and comes out ahead, still falls back though. Julyzerg is putting pressure onto Ever, but Bright, the Zerg player, the yellow Zerg player, actually able to get more Zerglings out, which stands to reason because he's probably got more drones. So, yeah, and then here's Jaehoon with the advantage in Dragoons, counteracted by Zerglings coming from the top, counteracted by Zerglings coming in for Julyzerg, counteracted by Zealots coming in for Ever at the bottom as well. So now Jaehoon with the Dragoon advantage, but the Zerglings are attacking his, and it looks like just everything is going to die on all sides at this point, except for a handful of stuff. But in the end, Ever comes out ahead, and he's pushing up north, and now he's in a position to theoretically head back downwards and attack Julyzerg again.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what they show. I agree with you. What's going on in Bright Space right now? I'm real curious if he's got that lair tech going or not. We did see that July started to make some more drones eventually. He threw a couple in there to catch up a little bit, but they were all on minerals, so there's still no gas being mined by him. And I agree. I think they're trying to close it out before it gets to that transition. But at this point, it looks like Bright and Ever are starting to push the other two players back here. Jaehoon is almost all the way back at his base, and he's getting surrounded by Zerglings. And Zerglings, Zealots, and Dragoons against pure Dragoons is not a good recipe, as he's down to just half a dozen Dragoons at this point. And more Zerglings continue to catch him out from behind, and every time he does that, the Dragoons glitch, because that's what Dragoons do, and he loses another one, or close to anyway. And now his Dragoon count is lower than the other, than Ever's Dragoon count. Somehow, in the middle of all, Julyzerg squeezes some Zerglings into the mineral line of I guess that would be Ever. Can't keep track of the names either. And he is getting surprisingly more kills than I was expecting him to get. It looked like it was about to be cleaned up, but he's making do with all 500 APM that he has, since he's got nothing else to do with it, trying to take out as many probes as he can. And that may be a way for them to get back into this game. But man, they need to show the Zerg space, the yellow Zerg space here, Bright Space, so we can see if he's got that lair tech going or not. At the very least,
we just saw it actually. He does not have a lair. He's actually all in with these lings. So the mutalisks that I was expecting are not going to happen. And now I'm wondering if Julyzerg might have made a switch to mutalisks in the background or something like that. But he's going to have to worry about these lings coming to his base, and we can see his base now. Nope, no lair tech there either. Just a handful of drones and some Zerglings. And Julyzerg in a momentary risk of losing those last drones again, but things are kind of stabling. By the way, I realized earlier, it's a good way to keep track of the colors. This game was played on December 23rd of 2006, and Jaehoon and Julyzerg are the Christmas colors. So that might be a way to keep track of the teams as you're watching. It's Christmas versus, I don't know what holiday has yellow and orange as the colors.
Well, you know, it's funny. I thought that they were both yellow until you just said that. So I was assuming that Bright and Ever were on the. They had somehow changed the colors for that perspective of the team, and now I realize they're not exactly. So
nope, it's just 240p VODs.
That's right. Oh, but we do have DTs out, and I don't know if you saw it earlier, but Julyzerg was trying to get a Overlord over to Jaehoon there, and he was unable to do so. He was killed in the middle of the field. So Jaehoon is now at the mercy of this attack without anything, unless he made some cannons, which I'm not sure he did. And Julyzerg, on the same time, is crisis management on his own, trying to deal with it. No, there are no cannons there. I think this is good game right here, man. I don't know how you come back from this.
Yeah, this is pretty over, I think, because he's got nothing to do with nothing for this DT. Not even he doesn't have a robotics facility. He doesn't even have a forge. This DT is going to kill every single one of his probes. Julyzerg, in the meantime, has not been able to rebuild or accomplish too much. He tried to break out of his base with a little drone drill with some Zerglings to try and help, but it didn't really happen. And yeah, the Overlords are just, I don't think he ever got Overlord. Well, he doesn't have a lair. He can't get Overlord speed, so he's not going to be able to get over there. So that DT has 16 kills on it, I think. 15 or 16 kills. 17 kills on the DT. We're watching it tick up at the bottom as we're looking around the rest of the map and watching Julyzerg's last breath being taken in this game as well. So I think you're right. This is gonna be over fairly soon, and Bright and Ever, the no-namers, are going to be winning the 6th game. There's the GGs, and Julyzerg and Jaehoon, the more experienced players, are not able to take it home. So we're gonna have an ace match. An ace match to determine the entire series of who will advance to go up against CJ Entis in the finals, to see who will advance from that to go up against SK Telecom in the finals. And let's see, what are they doing here? They got some kind of a ceremony, a 2v2 ceremony going on.
More tea on the head.
They're pouring it over their
what
their
more
heads.
could you want? That went straight down the back into the crack. You know, that's not what they're going to want to be sitting on here next. Oh, he's rubbing it in, too.
The coach rubbing in. Wow. Amazing.
Julyzerg is now realizing that he's about to have to be the bat boy and clean up the facilities after the team is done with it after that loss.
Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, so GG. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We're going to go to the ace match, and guess who we got in the ace match, ladies and gentlemen? Representing Lake Calf Oz, Anytime, who lost his game against Pusan earlier, is being sent out as the ace match against another up-and-comer in 2006, Bisu. Bisu is still a rookie at this point in time. He hasn't won any MSLs yet, but they're putting him out in the ace match. Even though he lost his game against Fort Gigi earlier in the series. So we're gonna have two players that lost their games earlier in the series, both trying to have a redemption arc of winning the ace match for their team to take it to the grand finals of the playoffs. That's going to be excellent. It's going to be a nice Protoss versus Protoss. Looking forward to that one. Thanks again, Rise, for joining me. And let's go ahead and move on to game number 7 here in just a moment. GG.
Let's do it. That was awesome.